Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a home that's more than just a celebrity residence.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is a true architectural icon, the Sheats Goldstein Residence.
Nice.
All right. So we've got articles, images, even James Goldstein's own thoughts on this place.
I love that we get a little bit of the owner's perspective in this one,
Me too. It adds a whole other dimension.
for sure.
Are you ready to explore a house that blurs the line between like art, design, and the Hollywood Hills?
Absolutely. Sign me up.
Okay, so what I find fascinating about this house, and I know you're going to be able to talk about this more, is that it's like a prime example of what they call organic architecture.
Right, right.
So like
Yeah.
where the building is designed to just completely blend with nature.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with organic architecture, it's not just about aesthetics, right? Like, it's easy to look at and be like, oh, this is beautiful because it blends in with the landscape, but there's a whole philosophy behind it?
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, it's about creating this really harmonious relationship between the actual structure and the surroundings.
It's about being one with nature.
Exactly.
Now, okay, for those of us who just love celebrity homes, this one is a legend.
It's up there.
We're talking Beverly Crest, estimated $40 million price tag.
Whoa.
And it was even in the Big Lebowski.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But before we get to like a bowling alley, which sadly there isn't one,
Oh, man.
let's set the stage.
Okay.
This house sits on about 4 acres,
Okay.
and the main residence itself is 4,500 square feet.
Wow, that's sizable.
5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths.
So there's room for guests.
You know, all those Hollywood parties
Definitely.
built between 1961 and 63, and then they did some major remodeling in the 80s.
Gotcha.
And it's the brainchild of architect John Lautner
Okay.
and the current owner, James Goldstein.
So the current owner is the one who spearheaded those renovations in the 80s.
Yeah, well, he's the one who's lived there since
Okay. Okay.
and really kind of put his stamp on it.
Yeah.
And his vision for this house is just something else.
I bet.
Even like the approach to the house is really carefully thought out. You're greeted by these raw concrete walls
Okay.
and all this lush, like tropical foliage.
Like you're entering a jungle almost.
Yeah, it's like a minimalist jungle that you navigate before you even get to the front door.
It's like a little transition space almost.
Yeah, it's
It's
interesting.
like preparing you for what you're about to see.
And that, and you were talking about the philosophy of organic architecture. I think that plays into it too.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's all very deliberate, right?
It is. It is. That minimalist entrance, the fact that it's framed by nature, I think it's all about creating a sense of anticipation.
It's a build-up.
Yeah, and it's also playing with your expectations, right?
Right.
Because you go to a house like this, you're expecting this grand, I don't know, marble staircase or something like that.
Like in front of a mansion.
Exactly, exactly. And instead you get this almost Zen-like experience.
To subvert your expectations.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
I like that.
It's like prepare to have your mind blown.
Yeah, and then boom, you step inside, and it's like the house just opens up to this view.
Wow.
It's famous for this open plan layout and these incredible floor-to-ceiling glass walls.
So you're almost living, like inside the landscape.
It's indoor-outdoor living to the extreme.
I was going to say it's the epitome of indoor-outdoor living.
Yeah, it's seamless.
And this is where the organic, the philosophy behind organic architecture really comes into play, right? Because it's all about blurring those boundaries between indoors and outdoors.
You lose track of where one starts and the other one begins.
Exactly, exactly. And the way the light just floods in from all angles.
Yeah,
And the fact that the views of the city become part of the interior design.
incredible.
It's like a living, breathing piece of art,
It is.
I think Lautner really wanted people in this space to feel like even when they're inside, they're connected to that environment.
Like you said, you're living in the landscape.
Exactly.
It must be incredible just wake up in that house every morning,
Oh, I can't even imagine.
just sipping coffee with that view.
Yeah, that's the life.
What a way to start your day.
And imagine the parties.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The Sheats Goldstein Residence is known for being like an entertainer's dream.
Makes sense.
And that's reflected in the design, right?
Yeah.
But particularly in areas like the bar and that dedicated entertainment room.
So let's talk about those spaces a little bit.
Okay.
First up, the bar area.
All right.
Our sources are describing it as chic yet approachable.
I love that.
Think mid-century modern stools, concrete counters.
Okay.
So it's like very cool and stylish without being, overly formal.
It's not stuffy.
Not stuffy at all.
Yeah.
And then there's the entertainment room.
Okay.
Fully decked out, the projection screen.
Like a home theater.
Yeah, minimalist seating.
Nice.
But the real star of the show there is the view.
Oh, I bet.
It's like having a private movie theater with a panoramic backdrop of Los Angeles.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, come on.
That's the dream.
And the living room seems to be a similar kind of blend of luxury and comfort.
Okay.
So we've got images of these beautiful integrated bookshelves that showcase Goldstein's art collection.
A little personal touch.
Yeah, and then paired with like comfy leather seating.
I love that.
But then there's this one detail.
What's that?
Get this. There are vines literally growing along some of the interior walls.
Whoa. Wait, on the inside?
On the inside.
That's so cool.
Bringing the outside in.
You know, and that's what's so unique about this house, right? Like, it so seamlessly blends nature, art, and design.
Called intertwined.
Yeah, and the vines aren't just there to look pretty. It's not just a decorative element. They're a living part of the space, you know?
It's alive.
It is, it is. And it also softens the harder edges of the concrete and glass.
Yeah, which there is a lot of in this house.
It creates this feeling of being, like, luxurious, but also grounded in nature.
It's not cold.
Not at all.
It still feels like home.
Yeah, yeah. It's warm.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how they've created this balance between feeling incredibly luxurious, but also very livable.
It's not pretentious.
It's not.
You could hang out there.
Yeah, you can move right in.
I would.
Okay, speaking of luxury, we have to talk about that infinity pool.
Oh, yes. This is the one.
The pictures are breathtaking.
I bet.
It looks like the water just extends out into the horizon.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's iconic for a reason.
And you know, that infinity pool, it's more than just a visual trick, right? It's like it was designed to seamlessly connect with the surroundings.
It's deliberate.
Which kind of echoes the way the house itself just blends into the landscape.
So it's intentional.
It's very intentional.
It's like the pool becomes just an extension of the view.
It's like the view is flowing into the house through the pool.
It's wild.
It's wild.
And I bet those views are just incredible no matter what time of day it is.
Oh, I bet. Sunset, nighttime, the house probably just looks amazing under any light.
It's like, you know, city lights twinkling below at night.
Yeah.
Sunset casting like warm hues across the concrete.
Ah, so beautiful.
It just makes the house feel almost cinematic, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Like something out of a movie.
You know what else adds to that cinematic vibe?
What's that?
The white Rolls Royce just parked in the carport.
Oh, yeah. Of course, there's a Rolls Royce.
It's like the cherry on top.
It completes the picture, doesn't it?
It does. It just ties everything together.
And you know what? Even the carport itself, like, they didn't just slap a carport together.
Oh, no.
The raw concrete, those wood finishes.
They thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It perfectly complements the car.
It matches the house.
And the house itself.
They really paid attention to every single detail.
It's all about the details, right?
It is.
It creates this really cohesive aesthetic.
It does.
It all feels very intentional and thought out, you know?
I know what you're thinking.
What am I thinking?
You're thinking this house seems too good to be true, right?
It's pretty amazing.
But there's something even more amazing.
Okay, I'm listening.
James Goldstein has pledged to donate this entire property to LACMA.
To LACMA.
The Los Angeles County Museum of Art.
Wow, that's huge.
It's a big deal.
That's very generous of him.
It's an incredibly generous act that will ensure this masterpiece is preserved, you know, for generations to come.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's not every day that a celebrity home becomes, you know, a public museum.
Right.
That's pretty special.
It's a big deal.
It's like sharing a piece of Hollywood history and design with the world, you know?
It's a gift.
It is. It is.
Okay, that was a lot.
Phew.
We went from the philosophy of organic architecture to infinity pools and a Rolls Royce.
It's a lot to take in.
Where do we even go from here?
Well, for those of you who are like really into the design elements, there's so much more to unpack. Like, we haven't even talked about how this house became such a symbol of mid-century modern design.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so we've got a lot more to cover.
We do.
Let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
And we'll be right back with more on the Sheats Goldstein Residence.
I'm ready for it. It really is incredible to think that a home like this, you know, could become a museum.
It's wild.
What's your take on that?
I don't know. It's definitely not your typical, like, celebrity home.
No, not at all.
It's more like a work of art that you can live in.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And for it to become accessible to the public, like, I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
It's like sharing a piece of Hollywood history
Yeah.
and design with the world.
For sure, for sure.
And speaking of Hollywood history,
Oh, yeah.
this house has been in a bunch of films and TV shows.
Really?
Not just The Big Lebowski.
Oh, wow.
You might recognize it from Charlie's Angels, Full throttle,
Okay.
bandits. It even pops up in, like, music videos and fashion shoots.
That makes sense, yeah.
It's just such a visually striking house.
I bet.
You can't help but be drawn to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every day you see a house with an infinity pool that seems to disappear into the LA skyline.
Right.
It's pretty unique.
It's definitely photogenic.
It is.
But what's interesting to me is how the house has become this symbol of like a certain lifestyle.
Yeah,
It's not just about the luxury, right?
Yeah.
It's about like that effortless blend of indoor-outdoor living, the connection to nature, the appreciation for, art and design.
Yeah, it's almost like it embodies this, like, California dream.
Yes, exactly.
Like, this is what it means to live well in Los Angeles.
Right, like you made it.
You've arrived.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's, really into interior design or architecture, this house is just a treasure trove of inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to learn from the way Lautner and Goldstein used space, light, and materials.
For sure. It's like a masterclass in creating a home that's both stylish and functional.
Yeah. You mentioned mid-century modern design earlier.
Yeah.
Can we dig into that a little bit more?
Absolutely.
What is that?
So the Sheats Goldstein Residence is considered like a prime example of mid-century modern architecture. And this style emerged in the post-World War II era.
Okay.
And it's known for its clean lines, organic forms, and that integration with nature that we've been talking about.
Okay, so think open floor plans. Large windows.
Yes, exactly.
Natural materials like wood and stone.
Yeah, so it's not just a passing trend, right? It's a design movement with a rich history.
It's a whole thing.
It is, it is. And what's interesting is that, mid-century modern design has had this huge resurgence in popularity in recent years.
Oh, for sure.
It's like it's a timeless style that can be adapted to fit contemporary tastes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, we see it in furniture.
Yeah.
We see it in graphic design.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I'm starting to see why people are so fascinated by this house.
Yeah.
It's not just about the celebrity or the luxury.
Right.
It's this piece of design history that continues to influence, like, the way we live and decorate our homes today.
It's still relevant.
It is?
Yeah, and it's not just the big picture stuff, right? Yeah.
Even the smallest details in this house are so carefully considered.
Like what?
Like the way the light filters through the trees.
Okay.
The texture of the concrete walls, the placement of a single piece of furniture.
Wow.
Everything contributes to the overall harmony and balance of the space.
They really thought of everything.
They did. They did. Nothing was left to chance.
I think one thing that really stands out to me
Yeah.
is how seamlessly they've blended art and design.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about having, like, expensive artwork on the walls.
Right.
It's about how the art interacts with the architecture, the furniture, the landscape.
Right. It's all part of the experience.
It's all curated to create this cohesive and inspiring experience.
It's like a living gallery.
Yeah.
Showcasing Goldstein's personal art collection in a way that feels both, like, personal and intentional.
So it's not just like, oh, I bought this and I'm going to put it up.
No, no, no.
It's like it belongs there.
Yeah, it's like the art is an integral part of the architecture.
It's meant to be there. Yeah, not just an afterthought.
It makes you wonder, what will happen to the art collection when the house becomes a museum?
That's a good question.
Will it all stay together?
Well, from what I understand,
Yeah.
Goldstein's donation includes his entire art collection.
Oh, wow.
So that ensures that the house will be preserved, as he intended,
That's amazing.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating to see how LACMA integrates the house and its contents into its existing museum complex.
I know. It's a big job.
They have their work cut out for them.
But I have a feeling they're up to the challenge.
Oh, I think so too.
This house is in good hands.
It is. It is.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
And for anyone who's, interested in learning more about mid-century modern design,
Yeah.
the Sheats Goldstein Residence is going to be an invaluable resource.
Absolutely.
It's like a textbook example of the style, showcasing its key principles and enduring appeal.
Like we said, it's still relevant today.
It is. It is. It's like a time capsule of design.
Yeah.
That also manages to feel incredibly modern and relevant today.
Which is incredible.
It is. It is. And, it raises an important question. What makes a house truly timeless?
That's a good question.
Is it the architecture, the design, the story behind it, or is it, some combination of all those things?
What do you think?
I don't know.
I think maybe it's about creating a space that feels both personal
Yeah.
and universal.
Uh-huh.
A space that, like reflects the owner's unique vision
Yeah.
while also speaking to something larger about the way we want to live.
I think that's a really great insight.
Thanks.
It's not just about, trends or styles.
Mm.
It's about creating a space that resonates with people on a deeper level.
A feeling.
A feeling.
Yeah, and the Sheats Goldstein Residence definitely does that.
It does.
So for all of you listening who are now obsessed with this house,
I know I am.
and let's be real, who wouldn't be?
Right.
What are some key takeaways you can apply to your own homes?
Oh, that's a good question.
Even if you don't have a Hollywood budget.
Right, because not all of us have $40 million lying around. Sadly, not me.
What can we learn from this?
Well, I think one of the biggest lessons from this house is the power of blurring the lines between indoors and outdoors.
Okay.
Even if you don't have floor-to-ceiling glass walls,
Right.
you can still create that sense of connection to nature
How?
by incorporating natural light, plants, and, organic materials into your design.
Okay, so think about those things.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to embrace a minimalist approach.
Less is more.
Sometimes less is more. Exactly.
Like Marie Kondo.
Exactly.
The Sheats Goldstein Residence proves that simplicity can be incredibly stylish and sophisticated.
It's not boring.
Not boring at all.
No.
It's chic.
It's chic.
And remember, art and design should work together to create a cohesive and inspiring environment.
Yes, it's all about the big picture.
So don't just hang a painting on the wall and be done with it.
Right.
Think about how it interacts with the furniture, the lighting, the overall feel of the space.
Yeah, think about how it makes you feel when you walk into the room.
The vibes.
The vibes.
It's all about creating a home that reflects your personality and your passions.
Yes, a space that you truly love to live in.
A space that feels like you.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe someday your home will become a design icon too.
Maybe not a museum,
Maybe not a museum.
but a source of inspiration for sure.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
You know what I think is so inspiring about this house? Is that it doesn't feel like a museum piece.
Yeah.
Like even with all the art and the iconic design,
Right.
it still feels like a home.
It does. It's a testament to the fact that, good design is about more than just aesthetics.
It's got to be livable.
Exactly. It's about
Yeah.
creating a space that feels comfortable and inviting,
Yeah,
even if it's also pushing the boundaries of what a home can be,
so true.
you know?
Speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
we talked a lot about mid-century modern design.
We did?
But for those of us who might be newer to this style,
Yeah.
what are some of the key elements that make it so distinctive?
Well, one of the hallmarks of mid-century modern design is its focus on clean lines and geometric shapes.
Okay.
So think furniture with tapered legs, angular silhouettes, and a sense of simplicity.
So it's not just about the era.
Right.
It's an aesthetic.
It's an aesthetic, exactly.
Okay.
And it's not just the furniture.
Okay.
Mid-century modern architecture often features open floor plans, flat roofs, large windows that blur the lines between indoors and outdoors.
Which we see in the Sheats Goldstein Residence.
Exactly. Natural light is a huge part of this style.
It's all about the light.
Yeah, and also the use of natural materials like wood, leather, stone.
Okay.
That plays a big role too.
It's interesting how these design elements from, the mid-20th century
Yeah.
still feel so relevant today.
They do.
Why do you think that is?
I think it has to do with the style's emphasis on functionality and simplicity. Mid-century modern design was all about creating spaces that were both beautiful and practical.
Form and function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in a world that often feels cluttered and overwhelming,
Yeah.
I think there's a real appeal to that kind of streamlined aesthetic.
Like a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. And there's also a sense of optimism and playfulness
Okay.
to mid-century modern design that I think people are drawn to.
Yeah.
It's not afraid to use bold colors, patterns,
Okay.
and it often incorporates a touch of whimsy.
It's got personality.
Yes.
I like that.
It's not afraid to be a little bit fun,
Exactly. It sounds like the perfect antidote to a cookie cutter home.
It is.
Something unique.
Exactly. Mid-century modern design really encourages you to express your personality, create a space that feels unique to you.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, so for our listeners who are feeling inspired,
Yeah.
what are some practical tips for incorporating this style into their own homes?
Okay, well, first, start by decluttering. Okay.
And embrace a more minimalist approach.
So get rid of stuff.
Get rid of stuff.
Easier said than done.
True. But it's worth it.
Right.
Once you've decluttered, you can start to incorporate some key mid-century modern pieces.
Okay, like what?
like a classic Eames chair or a Noguchi coffee table.
Those are good ones.
Those are good ones.
And don't forget about the lighting.
Absolutely. Lighting is crucial in mid-century modern design.
What should we be looking for?
Look for, like, statement pendant lights,
Okay.
arc lamps, and sconces with clean lines and geometric shapes.
So keeping with that aesthetic?
Keeping with that aesthetic, exactly.
Okay, what about color?
So mid-century modern palettes often feature neutral tones like white, gray, black,
Okay.
but they're not afraid to use pops of color.
Okay.
Think like mustard yellow,
Okay.
avocado green, burnt orange.
Very retro chic.
Very retro chic, yeah. And they can really bring a space to life.
Yeah.
But the key is to use them sparingly and thoughtfully.
So don't go overboard. Don't go overboard. Yeah, you don't want to overwhelm the space.
So it's all about balance.
Balance.
And editing.
And editing, yes.
Like a good editor would do with a podcast script.
Exactly.
It's all connected.
And just like a good podcast, a well-designed home tells a story.
I love that.
It reflects the personality and passions of the people who live there.
That's what makes it special.
Exactly.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Sheats Goldstein Residence.
Wow.
We've explored everything from organic architecture to mid-century modern design.
It's been a journey.
From infinity pools to art collections.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope you've come away with a newfound appreciation for the power of design to create spaces that are both beautiful and meaningful.
Absolutely. Now, I want to hear from you, listeners.
Oh, yeah.
If you could have any one element
Just one.
from this house in your own home, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep designing,
Keep those creative juices flowing.
and keep diving deep.
We'll see you next time.